Here's a tip for all of you in middle school and high school right now. You know that anxious feeling that you get all the time that everyone is watching you and secretly judging and scrutinizing every little thing about you? Like if you walk by the cool kids and they start laughing and you automatically assume that they're laughing at you because you just couldn't get your hair to behave that morning? Yeah, that has a name in psychology. It's called the imaginary audience. It's subconsciously believing every mistake you make and every imperfection about your appearance is seen and judged by everyone. Well, I've got some consolation for you. You ain't alone. Most everyone in your school is dealing with those thoughts. And that anxiety from person to person is going to be expressed in a plethora of different ways, including negative ways like bullying. Free your mind, man. The imaginary audience isn't real. The world is not what it seems. Wake up. The Matrix has you. One of the hard facts about school, and about life in general, is dress codes. Yeah, it doesn't stop after high school, explainers. People are always telling you what to wear. In jobs, at restaurants, passing by on the street. I wouldn't be wearing shorts if I had your legs, sweetie. Oh yeah? Well, your judgment of others is a manifestation of your crippling disappointment in how your life is turning out. Sweetie. When I was but a middle schooler, I went to a private preparatory school that made us wear uniforms. I don't know why I said that in a British accent. They cared very much what color your socks were, and if your skirt was below the knees. 1 inch too high and that would be anarchy, I tell you! That's something that I remember the girls at that school complained a lot about, is that their skirts were just too long. They're so long I can't think straight! Free the knee! Look, I'm all for personal expression, but that school didn't let us wear leggings in the winter under our skirts unless it was below freezing. So if you want even less protection from the elements, then go right ahead. I'll be over here in the thermal tent that I wear around my waist. I'm not gonna say that uniforms are an inherently bad thing. Some people like not having to think about what they wear in the morning. But I am not one of those people. I mean, I can't even decide on one outfit to stick my animated self with. Just look at this cartoon wardrobe. Eat your heart out, Minnie Mouse. So you can be sure that I was happy to be rid of that school uniform when I started public high school. I didn't have many non-uniform outfits, so my mom and I went out and bought me a brand new wardrobe for school. And for my freshman year, there wasn't anything too special about this school's dress code, just the usual fare, the stuff you'd expect. No miniskirts or midriffs, no pants so long that you trip over them, no multicolored hair that looks like you took a highlighter to your head. It all felt very reasonable, especially having just left a school that gave you detention if your shoelaces weren't the same color as your shoe. But the next year, geez, I don't even know what happened. Someone at that school must have royally screwed up because suddenly the staff decided that they needed to ban all clothing with pictures and words on it. Got a cute picture of a turtle on your shirt? Banned! Your pants got the name of the designer on it? Banned! Got a sweater with musical instruments on it? Banned! And it's against the dress code too. This was a huge deal at my school. Every kid was outraged. I don't know if it's the same nowadays, but back in my high school, graphic tees were the majority of everyone's wardrobe. Heck, I had just bought a whole new wardrobe the previous year, and now you're telling me I gotta go out and buy another one entirely? What the hell, school? The only exceptions to the rule were school shirts like from clubs and sports teams, college shirts, or patterns. So basically, if you had one graphic on the front of your shirt, that's a big old no-no. But if the graphic was all over, that's perfectly fine. Yes, makes sense. Good call, staff. All this meant was I wore a lot of black theater club shirts, to the point where people were mistaking me for being goth. But there was one shirt I had that was my personal rebellion against the tyranny. On a trip to Disney World, I'd found a Grumpy shirt that legitimately looked like a college debate team shirt. Grumpy stated Debate team. We're right, you're wrong, debate over. My, Disney merchandise designers. Aren't you a talented bunch? Thanks for aiding the rebellion. That shirt looks so much like a real college shirt that I wore to school dozens of times, and not once did a teacher or staff member decide to look a little bit closer at it. I'm so bad. That wasn't the only time that I bent the dress code rules. When it came to backpacks, we had to have mesh or clear plastic so the adults could see what we were carrying. Gotta make sure no one's bringing any questionable items into school. Like Game Boys. But for some reason, girls were still allowed to carry purses, because I could never fit my Game Boy in here. So what ended up happening is a lot of girls tried to work around the system with messenger bags. If they got caught, they could argue that it was a big purse. Sometimes they got away with it, and sometimes they didn't. I was one of these messenger bag rule benders. I had followed the backpack rule for 2 years, but by junior year, my clear plastic backpack had broken. Those things suck, by the way. And I had found a denim messenger bag that I really liked and wanted to show off at school, so sue me! Now here is where having the reputation of the good kid comes in handy. Because the vice principal herself would stand at the busiest hallway between periods and nab any kid in violation of the dress code. And every day, I would walk past her in that hallway with my messenger bag completely in view, and she would turn a blind eye. Hey! That shirt is prohibited. Go to the office. You, take out that nose ring. You know they're not allowed. Oh, hello, Rebecca. You have a good day, sweetheart. Hey, I see that logo on your pants, mister. It pays to be the good kid. I say as I just finished listing off times I broke the rules. College is better. College is pretty chill. I don't even know what the dress code was at my animation school. We all just wore hoodies because the computer labs were freezing. Well, we did have these little things called full faculty critiques where you presented your progress to a room full of ex-Pixar, DreamWorks, and Disney artists. Oh yeah, you were gently encouraged to clean up for those. Maybe wear the good sweatpants. These days, I am lucky because I could wear whatever I want for this job. I could be wearing something outrageous and embarrassing right this second and you would never know. Score 1 for the animators. Take that, vloggers! You and your daily uploads. Now one last thing from Editor Becca here, sorry if it sounds like I have a cold, it's because I do. If you remember way back in 2018, I said this: I wanna be a ghost story! And a lot of you seem to share that sentiment, so the Creator Inc. guys and I made it a t-shirt. And hey, we made it glow in the dark for good measure. Link to the store is in the description. This is another one of those Ah, the backyard. The personal wonderland of suburban kids everywhere. A place of curiosity and imagination. A minefield of anthills and lost Hot Wheels. A peaceful refuge where the greatest childhood memories are made. Girls! She did it! Hello, my geeks and peeps, my explainers and entertainers, my little oodle-ollies, Rebecca Parham here. Backyards are great. They have grass and trees and fences. To a kid, they could be the plains of Africa, the jungles of Papua New Guinea, the great wilderness of Alaska, or the perfect place for a treehouse. Can I just go on record to say that I freaking love treehouses? I mean, look at these. They're mystical and woodsy and full of character. And away from people. Look at this one. I want to live there. I want to hook it up with Wi-Fi and a sauna. I want all the local kids to call me the Witch of the Woods and tell stories about how I'll steal your toes if you get too close to my house. I want to be a ghost story. Wait, we're off topic. Backyards. A staple of suburban living. I lived in suburbia as a kid with all the trimmings. Neighborhood kids to play with, nearby woods to explore, a school I could walk to and from. And you can't forget your standard issue bully that lives up the street. My bully kid was named Jocko. Now, Jocko wasn't your run-of-the-mill bully kid. You know, the big thundering monsters that you stay away from at all costs, like a canker sister or a Flats the Flounder. No. Jocko was more like Buford from Phineas and Ferb. My bully kid was named Jocko. Now, Jocko wasn't your run-of-the-mill bully kid. You know, the big thundering monsters that you stay away from at all costs, like a canker sister or a Flats the Flounder. No. Jocko was more like Buford from Phineas and Ferb. Still a bully, but one that got involved in the adventures, and you invited over for a game of baseball sometimes. He was a weird one for sure. One time we were over at his house in his backyard, and he needed to, released the hounds. But instead of going inside and doing his business like a normal person, he popped a squat right there in the grass and made fertilizer. And then his dog ate it. He also once found a lighter in our backyard and decided that he wanted to make a campfire. And my sister and I were just like, yeah, sure, sounds fun. At some point during our tomfoolery of gathering things to incinerate in our campfire, Jocko wanted to act all tough, so he pointed the lighter at me and my sister and lit it. Just so happens, at that moment, my mom looked up from doing the dishes and saw that through the kitchen window, and she ran out screaming at us. Unsurprisingly, Jocko had to go home. Glad she caught us too, because we weren't even messing around at that point. We were gonna light a freaking pyre. Give the hellfire and brimstone preacher something to talk about, if you know what I mean. Lord, save us from the unholy demons known as the Param children, thank you, Jesus. Actually, my dad did call me a firebug sometimes when I was a kid because I tended to like fire, and still kinda do. Hey, it's warm and pretty and gets rid of evidence. Everything you want in a boyfriend. But the big story that I remember about Jocko was the tree incident. One day, my sister and I were playing baseball with Jocko in our backyard when one of us hit the ball over the fence into the neighbor's yard. Our neighbor wasn't home and their backyard gate was locked, so Jocko came up with a bright idea. He began climbing our giant oak tree so he could swing over to the neighbor's tree, climb down, and retrieve the ball, and Rachel and I just stood there watching him climb, periodically going, "You're gonna fall! We're gonna have to call the fire department to get you down!" Which I think only strengthened his resolve to make his brilliant plan work because he just kept climbing. Now strap in for this one, explainers, it gets good. When he got close to the neighbor's tree and was about 15 feet off the ground, he grabbed a pencil-thin branch in his hands and actually tried to swing to the neighbor's tree like he was freaking Tarzan! Apparently, Jocko has never seen a Wile E. Coyote cartoon because then he would have known better. Who says cartoons rot your brain? Guess what? The branch snapped! Ah! Mom! Jocko had not only fallen, no, he had crashed through the neighbor's wet bar, which my sources tell me is a bar or counter equipped with running water and a sink for serving alcoholic beverages in a home environment. And Jocko had completely obliterated this thing. It was like a dinosaur had stepped on it, just went pfft. Jocko was screaming so loud that his dad, who was working in their front yard up the street, heard it, came running, and kicked in the neighbor's gate to get to him. He ended up having a broken arm, which I'm still surprised to this day that that's all that happened. From the damage that I saw to this wet bar, I'm surprised he's not dead. There should have been some fractured ribs or brain damage or something. Well, I guess if you're meant to hang, you won't drown. He also had to pay the neighbor back for the wet bar, just to add insult to injury. Rolling on with the theme of breaking things, my sister and I actually did the childhood cliche of breaking a window with a baseball. You thought that opening skit was just a witty farce, huh? No, actually happened. My sister and I were in the backyard playing baseball with the neighborhood kids. Big surprise there. I was pitching, she was batting, I tossed her the ball, she hit it veered off to the right, and crashed right through my parents' bedroom window. And everyone in that backyard except Rachel hit the deck. My parents came racing outside and found my sister standing there with bat in hand, completely flustered. Both of my parents were mad, but my mom told Rachel to go get her piggy bank because she was gonna pay for it. But Dad jumped in and said, "Hey, that's not fair, it was an accident. Every kid gets to break one window with a baseball." Yeah. One window with a baseball. Yeah, that was my dad for you. He never forgot what it was like to be a kid, so he wanted the most fulfilling childhood for us, including all of the classic mistakes like breaking a window with a baseball. So now I gotta tell one on me. About time, I suppose. When I was about 9 and should have known better, I'd sometimes pass the time in the backyard by taking an old fence post, laying it over the side of our raised garden beds, and jumping on the end of it, launching an array of different materials into the air. Rocks, pebbles, grass, sticks, anything. This is what we did before we had the internet, kids. One day, I really wanted to launch a ball off of my makeshift catapult, but there was a problem. The ball would roll off of the fence post before I could launch it. Physics. Who knew? And in order to complete my little experiment, I needed an assistant. Oh, David! My little brother David was about 3 at the time and was very susceptible to suggestion, which worked out perfectly for me, not so perfectly for him. I told him on the count of 3 he was going to put the ball on the fence post so I could quickly jump on the other end before it rolled off. Simple enough, wouldn't you say? But when I counted to 3 to commence our experiment, he did something a little unforeseen. He leaned down directly over the fence post to very carefully place the ball. And by the time I looked over and saw him doing that, it was too late. My entire weight came down and the fence post smacked him right in the face. Well, I'm dead. I bequeath everything to my Teddy Ruxpin. David rightfully screamed at the top of his lungs and ran inside to Mom and Dad, who were not happy at all. David's whole face swelled up and there was a puncture wound on his cheek that was maybe an inch away from his eye, and he still has a scar there to this day. I got in a lot of trouble, and my parents yelled at me that I could have blinded him, even though it was an accident and he wasn't supposed to put his face over the catapult. But I felt really bad, to the point where I still felt bad years later into adulthood when someone would bring up this story. But now, I've animated it and shown it to 1 million people, so it holds no more power over me anymore. Animation, my antidepressant. So yeah, backyards, imagination, magic, wonder, childhood trauma, you get the idea. But seriously guys, go spend some time outside, get some sunshine and fresh air, it builds character. It's also really good for your mental health.